What is going on, guys? So yesterday we got the dev brief 113 and boy is it a spicy one. So the devs did a Q&A and overall the amount of information that we got is actually unreal. And that's kind of what I want to talk about. I want to do a little bit of a TLDR, get a concise, all the information about what's to come and what's in the future for Hell Let Loose. So the first question that they tackled was, what's the plan for once the game leaves early access? And obviously, they basically, in short, they just said once it leaves, that doesn't mean that the development stops. They're going to continue to optimize the game. Just leaving early access means that it's at a quality where it's a bit more consistent overall. You don't want to be going from Town where you've got no frames to all of a sudden playing another map where you've got tons of frames. That's just the consistency to win the game across the game. Make sure everything's as optimized as possible, that anyone can just buy the game, pick it up and start playing, and they'll have a good experience on that end. But also the amount of things that they announced in this one question was unreal. They're looking at a campaign mode, more factions, expand current factions, more weapons, equipment, flamethrowers, mortars, new map types, support for the comp side, which is amazing as a comp player. It's great to see that they're acknowledging us and basically stating here that they want to support us. They're also looking to obviously continue to optimize no matter what, bring more vehicles in, and generally just refine the game to what their vision is, what they believe this game and what we all know this game can be. So really good, strong start to basically just address, yes, we're just going to keep supporting this game, and I can't wait to see what they have in store for us. So the next question that was tackled was about AT. What's that looking like? Are we going to see some additions, other ways to deal with tanks? How are we going to be able to have different play styles with dealing with tanks? Because currently, as they said, the only way to take out tanks is basically just lob tons of rockets, and that's kind of not how they want it. So the person who asked the question suggested magnetic mines, charges, single-use rockets, AT grenades and the likes, and they didn't confirm anything here, but they actually in a weird way said that they want to change the current medium tank in the roster. So what they're actually looking to do is bring in the Panzer IV for Germany. So that's weird. Like, are they gonna get rid of the Panther? What's the plan for the Panther? What's the future for the Panther? Because it's a tank that we all love and it's a pretty awesome tank. Obviously the Panzer IV is going to be nice to see, but are they going to replace it and not have the Panther in the game anymore? I don't know what's with that. They're also going to bring the T-34. That's confirmed now for Russia. Obviously that was going to be in the game, let's be real. And then originally they did say 40mm Sherman, which drove everybody on Reddit and the Facebook page and everything like nuts. They were like, what's this 40mm? But they actually since then changed the name to the M4A3 Sherman, which is pretty much the standard, because they were like, we want to normalize it, to have the most commonly used tanks as the medium tanks, and it's like, what the hell's a 40mm Sherman? So it's nice to see that they corrected that. So next up, they're addressing the elephant in the room, and that is the frontline situation of the game. Because currently, with the situation of where you can place garrisons, it's kind of introducing this predictability, and it's kind of getting easy to kind of take out the enemy's garrisons. If anyone who watches Wild Bill Jammin from Exodus, he's done multiple videos on just how ridiculous, he's got the spawn camping video where you just find the enemy garrison and then time it with their spawn wave and RT it. Yeah, it's too predictable, and right now there's not really any way. Whoever caps the point first is generally the person that wins the game, because just you can't kind of deal with the amount of garrisons and the positionings that they have over you once you've lost that first point. So they're looking to address that, and really without bringing back ninja garrisons is what they don't want to do. Maybe just having, you could only build them in the first row into the red or whatever, that they're looking to do like some sort of wraparound with that. But still, yeah, nothing's confirmed. They don't want to bring back in the spawn bombing of the ninja garrisons, which was used basically in the past. So I'm gonna combine two that they asked here in one. So someone did ask about the spotters. Will they be adding satchels? Bring the Gewehr 43 with scopes and bolt action optics. And essentially they answered yes. But there's also a later question where someone asked about the classes and such, and essentially what they're planning to do is they can only have a max of 14 classes for technical reasons. What they're looking to do there is increase functionality of each class, so it can kind of cover some similar roles. So you've got the engineer, but you got the basic one that builds all stuff, and then you got the one that essentially goes the sapper kind of role. So that's kind of how they're looking to work with that. Right now they've gone through some of the they've gone to support engineer next. Obviously it seems that they're looking to go with the MGs, give those that they haven't really given anything to. So like the sniper classes as well, give them some love and buff them up a little, you know, add more to them before they do kind of a round trip back to where they started and looking to change, you know, some of the, maybe make some tweaks to the assault, you know, go back to the support engineer, basically do kind of round trips constantly to try and improve and increase the functionality of every kind of class. Next, we got some very saucy information for those who love to play Commander. We're going to be seeing the likes of Stukas, Rocket Strafes, Nebelwerfers, and more. I hope I said that right. They're basically, you know, rocket launching placements that you put down. And the question is that going to be for just the Commander? You know, is that going to be something that's going to be on the battlefield? Maybe it's like in the position beside the artillery. Maybe it's something that a class can build. Maybe Commander can build them, or Engineer can build them in certain places. You know, that's as is addressed later on. They're looking to bring in possible flak cannons. So I don't know what way they're gonna, you know, is that gonna stop as they bring Stukas and stuff in? Is that gonna be able to kind of counter them? So, you know, you need to go deal with the enemy flak that's going to cover this certain area, and if you call it in this certain area, it can be shot down by the flak. They're looking to also add, you know, ways to improve them. So, you know, you start off with just 20 millimeter, and then, you know, you're able to upgrade it to make it better. Same, they're also looking to make that kind of thing onto the pack cannons, you know, the field cannons, those anti-tanks. They're looking to also find ways to increase them, and they've also mentioned that they're looking to bring possible HMG emplacements. So, you know, you build up this set HMG as opposed to the LMG that the machine gunner role brings. There was then a question thrown in the lovely direction of our favorite comms system, Vivox, in terms of will there be individual mic level adjustments? So, you know, you can have, you know, your squad, you know, at a certain level. You have obviously general people around you at like probably the lowest. You know, you got the commander chat probably the highest, because that's kind of more the most vital intel generally, and just where you're able to adjust it, you know, to your own personal preference really. So yeah, that's always nice, because right now everything's just at the same level and it's hard to tell who's talking, whether it's commander, someone in command, like unless without looking, you know, you're in a gunfight and you hear someone say something, it's like, was that in commander chat? Was that my squad? Was that like, obviously local chat is a bit more easy because it's proximity, but yeah. So yeah, hopefully we get something like that implemented soon, but we have to wait and see. They also, you know, got asked like why they even, or mentioned why they even use Vivox, and apparently it's, you know, it takes a lot of load off their actual servers because it's not run in through the server, so it allows them to use higher tick rates, which is obviously really needed in, you know, 100 player games. So it's what we have. Obviously improvements will be made, solutions should be coming soon, and apparently they've already made a few adjustments that we should be noticing. So yeah, let's see how it goes. They were then asked about, you know, just Unreal Engine 5, because currently we're on Unreal Engine 4, and in short they were like, if it provides better optimization, you know, better quality textures and atmospheric things, and basically just better performance overall, yeah, they'll switch over to it. There's then also questions asked about, you know, will we see incendiary grenades, you know, Molotovs, you know, that fire kind of situation, which obviously I mentioned earlier on, flamethrowers and mortars and the likes, and essentially they were like, yeah, we want to bring them in. I imagine maybe obviously with the Russian DLC, I if we don't see Molotovs with the introduction of the Russians, something's wrong, you know. Molotovs and Russians, you know, literally Molotov is kind of synonymous. And yeah, just they're also mentioned vehicle mounted flamethrowers, which if you look at the original concept, or, you know, screen art that's used, the wallpaper for the game, there is a tank shooting a flamethrower. So yeah, flamethrowers will be coming. Right now they're thinking about, you know, it'll be like a fuel gel mix, because someone asked, you know, what way, how are they going to gauge it from realism to arcadey in terms of that, you know, how is it going to function, how accurate it's going to be. The general idea is they'll have like a fuel gel mix is the kind of way they're looking in terms of different types of flamethrowers that they're going to run it, and they should be able to shoot about 20 to 30 meters in a fairly straight direction, so it's going to be very effective for close range, kind of, you know, getting those funnels kind of in trenches and the likes really kind of, I guess, burned up nice and toasty. And obviously incendiary grenades and the stuff, it's going to be interesting to see how they implement that. They said the visual effects are generally there, it's just the matter of, you know, getting it to kind of all work together. So yeah, we'll get to see high risk high reward gameplay coming with the flamethrowers hopefully sometime soon. So as I mentioned before, you know, with the upcoming tanks, with the situation with the medium tanks, there's also a question asking, you know, will there be more things like tank destroyers and armored cars? And we did have the Stug and the Panzer IV mentioned in the last dev brief. That's going to be interesting with armored car, because they said yes basically to those and more. So it's going to be interesting to see what way they introduce, you know, maybe a 3-man armored car where, you know, you got a driver, passenger, and you've got, you know, a guy on a on a mounted machine gun or whatever, and essentially just it will kind of add more diversity with the infantry gameplay. It's not just, you know, we're just constantly running around everywhere, and also instead of having to, you know, take the big stupid loud trucks, you know, that are kind of, I mean, they're fast, but they're not as fast as, you know, an armored car would be, and that will kind of influence the metagame, especially in the kind of comp side as well. It will change how, you know, games start and whatnot. If it's available at the start, I imagine it won't. So yeah, they'll have to balance that and see how they introduce. But I mean, I'm interested to see if they bring flexible armored cars for the infantry to use. And there was also something that was asked about. Basically, are they looking to make tweaks to the gore system, add, you know, bullet damage and stuff, blood pools forming on their bodies? Personally, I don't think this is a crucial, like, obviously if you want, you know, more of that realism aspect, blah blah, but I feel like it's kind of unnecessary extra that will hinder performance for some people. That I don't see it as a primary focus, but obviously for those that want, you know, a bit more of the gritty, you know, realism experience for that kind of getting in it in that kind of way, you know, fair enough. But personally, I couldn't give a crap about stuff like that. I rather them focus on the metagame and all these kind of mechanics and stuff rather than kind of focus on little kind of visual things like that. That, to be fair, unless I'm generally not standing around in a place for more than 10 seconds, I'm gonna notice. So the next thing they address, which is kind of more important for the comp, but also it's going to be handy in public, is there's going to be a prep phase added. So, you know, once you spawn in, you know, you have that time to, you know, get the squad leader in, everybody's get their squads, you know, make sure everybody's, you know, able to talk to each other, and, you know, organize some sort of game plan rather than just, you know, drop and go. And then it's like in comp it's the worst, because like, you have to, you know, organize, reset the server, and then you drop in, and then it's like, okay, whoever gets in fastest gets in the truck, drives as fast as fucking possible. And it's the worst in public as well, because it's just like someone gets in the truck and drives off without, and there's no, you know, organization. It's just like drop in and everybody get to the front line as fast as possible. And yeah, so that will kind of make it easier to kind of start games, and everything's just going to be more organized, and it's going to be nicer. So I know we've got the Eastern Front coming up, but back in the backing process there was mention of the Pacific frontier, but unfortunately that goal wasn't met. So yeah, basically in short they said, you know, the question was asking, are they gonna add it? And in short they just said, yeah, just say as long as we continue going how everything's going, you know, we keep supporting, production keeps going well, yep, they'll come. It's unofficially announced as possibly the next one. Who knows what we're going to see in the future. So the next thing they talked about, which is, you know, a question, how do they gauge between the realism and the more gamey elements of the game, which is, you know, always really important. And I really feel like, you know, Hell Let Loose is in, it's doing the best overall. As I'm a, you know, veteran of Battlefield games, and right now I feel they've just gone too arcadey. The likes of Squad and Postscriptum for some people can be, you know, too hardcore. I feel like Hell Let Loose is in that perfect kind of medium of, you know, that's what basically how they're gauging it is, you know, they're going realistic as possible and then gauging it back to the point where it actually becomes fun. Because, you know, I don't know, there's a certain, nobody wants realistically, nobody wants realism. They want immersive, and, you know, if there's no point in, the example they gave was artillery, you know, if it's big explosion, then obviously they have to gauge it. They don't want to make it too easy to use the artillery by yourself, because otherwise you'd have to nerf the explosion radius, so it's basically like the size of a grenade. But then, you know, they don't want to make it too complex that nobody wants to play it. So it's they're always gauging the realism to fun aspect rather than, I'd say, gamey. So yeah, but I think they do a great job on it, so fair play. And on that note as well, I'd actually like to just, yeah, someone, you know, was asking, how do you make such, you know, a high fidelity game compared to, like, you know, some AAA titles that are kind of flopping and stuff. And really, you know, as they say, it's what they say is like-minded people come together and just being passionate. And at the end of the day, if, you know, you've no passion in something, you're not going to be able to make good content for it. And, you know, they're obviously really passionate about the game, and they're making, you know, good strides at the minute. There was then a question directed towards them is, well, what are they most excited about in the future of the roadmap? And they said the campaign mode, which I mentioned earlier on. And essentially, it's a bit of a complex one. What the campaign mode, they haven't, you know, got specific mechanics down, but what they want to do is, you know, you've got a series of maps that you'll play. You know, at the first 5 minutes, they said there will be, you know, a kind of a organization where both teams get to essentially, like, well, what I'm getting from what they're saying is, you know, you get to choose a set of maps that you'll play, and, you know, they want each map to have rewards for it. So, you know, if you win this one, that will kind of give you an advantage in the next one. So it's going to be interesting to see what way to do that. Maybe it's some sort of way where some of your resources carry over from one map to the other one if you win, because we've seen this kind of in some other games. You know, we've got Rising Storm 2 have their kind of campaign mode, which is very fun to play. It's very long, but pretty fun to play. Battlefield 1 had something similar where, you know, kind of there was consequences for every win or loss, and there was kind of a progression, which is it adds kind of more immersive, I guess, a bit more kind of something new to the always playing the same maps. I mean, obviously there's the adjustments of where the points are, but it kind of just adds a bit more kind of more meaning to each game. And actually one thing that they did mention, which was very interesting for me, was they mentioned of a desert, which obviously right now there's no desert map. So does that mean, you know, they're possibly planning for, we might see the Italians in Libya or Ethiopia against the British? Because I mean, that's where Italians had land in Libya and stuff, so we might see, maybe, I don't know whether it would be straight up the British, but, you know, American forces even. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if we see the likes of Libya and the Italians. We then asked about personal stats. You know, will we get a way to view, because right now there's no way to kind of view our, you know, overall performance, you know, how we're doing, which classes we're excelling in, which classes need more work, you know. And basically they're saying, yeah, we're looking to build a stats page for the future so that, you know, we can see how we're doing. They can also use that to kind of gauge how they're going to buff and nerf things and how they want to make adjustments. So overall it's going to benefit everyone, and I'm can't wait to see that come in. They then got tasked with the old question of how do they decide between bringing in new players and fixing bugs for existing players. And obviously, you know, with time, in short, basically they said, you know, with time, things are getting smoother, things are starting to run better. Obviously, they love to bring new content. You know, they want to show us all this new stuff that they're bringing, and new content is always fun, but they do need to kind of take a backseat in some kind of situations. And obviously, overloading at once, you know, making tons of changes at once isn't going to help. You know, they need to make some faster, smaller tweaks rather than bigger, longer tweaks. That, you know, so it's just the smaller and faster is better than a whole load of things at once. So yeah, they then got asked if there'd ever be a tank-only map, and kind of in short, they were like, no, because, you know, at the end of the day, it's all about battles were fought basically with, you know, infantry and tanks simultaneously. Obviously, they have maps where they're more kind of lean towards having tons of tanks, like Foy, where it's, you know, big open fields and not a ton of cover for infantry, and they have to move around specific ways. Whereas, you know, maps like Carentan obviously favor more infantry, where it's like close quarters and tanks kind of can't safely, you know, move down streets without support from infantry and the like. So, and that's kind of, yeah, that's kind of the core of the game, is, you know, having infantry being backed up by tanks and working, having, you know, it's all a big cog working together. So, you know, I'm glad that they're like, yeah, no, we're not just gonna have tank only maps. You don't want to force play styles on people, is basically what they said. So yeah, good to hear. They also made some very saucy kind of suggestions that, you know, there will be night maps coming. So that's what someone asked, you know, will there be night map variants? And they were kind of like, yeah, we want to bring night maps in. I don't know if any of you have played Beyond the Wire, but in Beyond the Wire, you know, you got, you know, that kind of night thing, and you get the flare up in the sky, and, you know, you just see the, you know, the trench lines and all the mud, and it looks so good. So I can't wait to see how it would be implemented in this game, because obviously night would then start to favor more infantry, as, you know, we just talked about the tank infantry balance. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what way they decide to implement night maps. And last but not least, we also had confirmation that there will be rifle grenades coming. I don't know how I feel about that personally. Experience with rifle grenades has always been the worst. They never get implemented right in any game. I always feel like they always get implemented and they're either overpowered as shit or like just kind of meh. So it's going to be interesting to see what way they decide to implement them. Obviously they're mounted on the front of your, if you've seen it in any game. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what way they decide to work that and how effective they're going to be overall. So yeah, guys, I hope this was nice and concise as I imagine in my head. I guess we'll see once I do the full edit. But if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe. You obviously do more of these in future. I've got, you know, comp games, I've got general fun games on the channel. And yeah, until next time, guys, be awesome, stay awesome, and as always, have an awesome day.